Hey guys, welcome to Pages with Sidra. Today we are going to start chapter 584 of I Have 90 Billion Licking Gold Coins. If you haven't watched the previous chapters, make sure to check them out on my channel. Now, without any delay, let's dive into the chapter. Shock. Stunned silence. Everyone was frozen in place, staring blankly in disbelief. Their jaws dropped wide open, like they could swallow an ostrich egg. What was that? That's the strength of Master? That's insane, absolutely insane. I have to become his disciple. This is just too damn cool. Lin Zhiluo was trembling with excitement, practically speechless. 12 elite agents, agile and deadly, capable of scaling 5-meter walls with ease, moving like shadows, striking like lightning. And yet all of them were wiped out instantly by nothing more than a look from the medicine ancestor. It all happened so fast that no one even had time to react. Like a flash of lightning, it was over before anyone could even blink. Too powerful. Far too powerful. At that moment, Xiantian medicine ancestor stood calmly, his gaze indifferent. But every move he made radiated the overwhelming aura of a man who stood above the world. He casually waved a broom, swept some trash into a dustpan, and emptied it into the bin. Such a plain, ordinary act. Yet it carried the unstoppable presence of an unmatched master. His aura filled the entire courtyard. Master, please, don't do this kind of work anymore. You're above this. It's beneath your status. Lin Zhiluo rushed forward to take over, looking completely devoted. She didn't even mind the stench of the trash bin anymore. To be able to sweep the grounds of the Chun estate is no disgrace. If one day I could become a registered disciple under Senior Chen Yuan, I would be completely satisfied. Even if I had to sweep for 10 years, I'd do it willingly. Huh. Those words from the medicine ancestor left everyone completely stunned. Chen Yuan? He called him senior? This man just displayed godlike power, killing 12 elite agents with a mere glance. He was beyond comprehension. And yet, even a supreme expert like him wanted to become Chen Yuan's disciple? Not even a core disciple, just a registered one. Willing to sweep floors for 10 years just for that chance. That was unreal. Is Chen Yuan really that powerful? Even a legendary figure like Master is so humble before him. Then just how terrifying is Chen Yuan's true strength? Everyone gasped sharply, chills running down their spines. So much had happened today, each event overturning everything they thought they knew. And now they realized they never truly understood this mysterious man named Chen Yuan. President Yu, we've completed the inspection. All 12 intruders were armed with explosives and weapons. Every one of them died from a single blow, each one with a clean hole through the forehead. The head of security rushed over with the report. Call the police, Yuling Shuang said coldly. Let them handle the investigation. Find out who they were, why the Chun estate was targeted, and what their motives were. Yes, President. The head of security nodded. This time, they were lucky to have someone like the medicine ancestor on the premises. Otherwise, even with the estate's elite security team, things might have ended very differently. Although the guards were all well-trained, they weren't armed. They didn't have licenses to carry weapons. They were enough to scare off petty thieves, but against fully equipped elite agents, they wouldn't stand a chance. These guys might be the same terrorists who planted explosives on Chen Yuan's plane. They deserved to die. They were pure evil. If Chen Yuan is really as strong as Master said, then he'll be okay, Lin Zhiluo whispered, praying quietly. The others also began to pray. Even though they now knew Chen Yuan was no ordinary man, the plane crash was too severe. And until he reappeared, no one could rest easy. The air was still heavy, but the sadness had eased just a little. At that moment, Tina Morgan, under Chen Yuan's secret arrangement, had already boarded a flight back to the U.S. As the leader of the dark web, and one of the 3 highest-ranking figures in Skull Society, she was heading back to take control. Skull Society was not a dictatorship. Last time, Edward had tried to betray and even kill her. That debt had to be settled. Online, the discussions were still raging. As news of the crash spread, the names of the victims began to surface. There were 12 victims in total. Captain, Zhang Minchong. Co-pilot, Niel Yangping. Chief flight attendant, Zhu Guifeng. 8 flight attendants. And the final name, Chen Yuan. All 12 were confirmed dead. The explosion during the crash was so violent, there were no remains left behind. Survival was impossible. Satellite footage captured the moment of detonation. The private jet's explosion created a shockwave over a kilometer wide. The blast was powerful enough to reduce steel to dust. It was now certain this was not an accident. It was a planned, targeted, well-organized terrorist attack. And the target was Chen Yuan. The terrorists likely had insiders on board. Even the airport personnel may have been infiltrated. That's how such a high-powered bomb was smuggled onto the aircraft. Police had already launched a full-scale investigation. When the official death list was released, the entire country fell into grief. Hundreds of millions of fans mourned. Boss Yin, rest in peace. Boss Yin, rest in peace. Boss Yin, rest in peace. I'll admit it, I used to hate Boss Yin out of pure jealousy. I cursed him online. And now, I just want to say I'm sorry. Because once you learn what he truly did, you realize how much this young man gave to the world. Most of us only knew about him from headlines, from gossip about how he gifted millions, billions even, to female streamers. I used to despise that kind of flashy behavior. Our country still has over 600 million people earning less than 1,000 yuan a month. Meanwhile, this guy was casually giving tens of millions to streamers in a single night. I didn't know if it was twisted or just immoral. Why can some people have so much money, while others struggle to afford rice and oil? So I hated him. I slandered him online. I mocked him, because it made my insecure, bitter little self feel a tiny bit better. But the dead deserve respect. Looking at it objectively, whether or not he was some genetically enhanced human, Boss Yan's contributions to this country cannot be denied. He donated hundreds of billions, built charitable foundations, funded schools in poor regions. His Han City Pharmaceutical Group saved countless lives. His Panga 7 smartphones? They sell for over $1,600 abroad. But here in China, they sell for less than 7,000 yuan. He sold them at cost, for the benefit of our people. The breakthrough in lithography technology? That was thanks to Boss Yan. He solved the tech blockade we'd been facing for years. He even invested in 6G network development. He was changing the entire world through his own efforts. Every era has its chosen genius. And in ours, that person was Boss Yan. He's the only young man I've ever truly admired. But unfortunately, heaven couldn't tolerate such brilliance. Boss Yan, rest in peace. You'll live forever in our hearts. Chapter 994. I have a task for you. As the heartfelt article continued spreading online, more and more people began to realize that perhaps they had been too harsh on a young man who was only 23. Boss Yan's contributions to society far surpassed any other entrepreneur. Aside from being a bit flirtatious, he barely had any flaws at all. But in truth, all of it stemmed from him being too excellent. So outstanding, in fact, that countless goddesses chased after him. But he never once publicly announced a girlfriend. So what? Being chased by women is a crime now? When did being too good and too rich become reasons to be criticized? And just like that, countless netizens began to repent online. Boss Yan, we're sorry. Boss Yan, we're sorry. Boss Yan, we're sorry. Honestly, if I were Boss Yan, I'd have already hooked up with hundreds of women. Compared to that, he's insanely restrained. Only hundreds? Bro, are you okay? I've got a few boxes of vitality pills for you. As the internet buzzed with debate, Chen Yuan had already gone out and repurchased everything he needed: clothes, shoes, pants, a new phone, and all his essentials. Thankfully, facial recognition payment had become widespread in this era. With his new phone in hand, Chen Yuan logged back into his accounts, WeChat, Liu, Douyin, and countless other platforms. Just then, a video call came in. It was Tina Morgan, who had just landed in New York after crossing the ocean. Boss, are you alright? I just saw the news saying your plane went down. I'm fine. Someone planted a high-explosive bomb on the plane. That kind of attack can't hurt me, but they did succeed in pissing me off. Over a dozen crew members died in the crash. Maybe the punishment I gave them last time was too light. So now, they've stopped taking me seriously. Within 1 month, I want Skull Society gone. I want every financial oligarch in America bankrupt. I want the U.S. financial system in total collapse. I'm going to buy every inch of land in that country and show them who really owns it. Boss, you, Tina's voice trembled. She could feel it. This time, Chen Yuan was truly enraged. And the wrath of a god-level powerhouse was not something anyone could withstand. Edward, You really dug your own grave this time. Even God himself won't be able to save you now. Boss, what do you want me to do? I'll follow your orders, whatever they are. Send me your private bank account. Yes, boss. Tina immediately forwarded her account details. Her private account was registered under the highest tier of the U.S. Federal Bank, a Supreme Black Card. To even qualify for one of these, your balance had to exceed $10 billion. With transaction records over $100 billion. There were only a handful of such cards in the world. They were used strictly for massive financial transactions, with no limits on transfers or incoming funds. At the moment, Tina's card held around $20 billion in liquid funds. That was her personal pocket money. Boss, are you planning to transfer me money? There's no need, really. I'm not exactly short on cash. Ding. Your account has received a deposit, $1 trillion. The moment she saw the transfer, Tina Morgan rubbed her eyes hard. Was she seeing things? Was she getting old? She counted the digits, 15 zeros. That's $100 trillion. She froze, turned to stone, then trembled in pure shock. Boss, what is this? That money's yours to manage. Starting now, begin buying up American assets, real estate, hospitals, hotels, tech companies, auto manufacturers, aircraft, rockets, satellites, military supplies. No matter the cost, buy it all. I want the entire country in my hands. Tina Morgan was utterly shaken. She never imagined Qin Yuan would take this route for revenge. You try to kill me? Fine. Then I'll just buy your entire country. What kind of logic was this? Completely insane. There was no doubt. With that amount of capital flowing suddenly into the U.S. market without time to digest or prepare, it would cause an immediate and violent shockwave through the financial system. $100 trillion. Enough to collapse Wall Street. Inflation would skyrocket. Demand would crush supply. Financial order would collapse. Housing prices would soar until people questioned reality. The U.S. dollar would be nothing more than toilet paper. With that much money in play, every financial group would fall. Even the most powerful oligarchs would be crushed beneath it. Of course, if it were just an ordinary person receiving such wealth, their assets would be frozen immediately. The CIA would probably have them arrested within hours. But Tina Morgan wasn't just anyone. She was the head of the dark web and the true controller of the Morgan family. She held terrifying power. Within hours, she could break the money into millions of valid accounts, each secure and untraceable. That money would enter the U.S. economy like a silent tsunami. To destroy someone first, drive them insane. Freedom-loving America, your good days are numbered. Once there's too much cash in the market, it'll all flood into the stock market. The stock market will become a massive pool of capital. And at that point, she'd use Wankai to manipulate it all and sweep the U.S. financial world. Every single capitalist tycoon would become chopped-up chives, ripe for harvest. An enormous plan began forming in Tina's mind. Maybe Qin Yuan had been preparing this for years. But to be honest, Qin Yuan wasn't even thinking that far. Sure, he wanted revenge. But he preferred real fights, face-to-face, weapons drawn. Calling it economic warfare was really just an excuse to max out his lick gold points. And this run? It felt amazing. He'd just swiped $100 trillion? Anyone else would have been arrested the next day. But with Tina Morgan, she could handle it. After all, she was one of Skull Society's highest-ranking chairpersons. She had her own faction and foundation to stand on. After hanging up with Tina, Qin Yuan called Wen Kyuko. At this moment, Kyuko had just finished her acquisition of Korea's financial systems. She returned to the U.S. as a super-powerful financial empress. And with a personal net worth of $3 trillion, she had crushed Ma Saik, taking the #1 spot on the Forbes list. The richest person in the world. The first true female billionaire to ever reach that level. The Western media was going crazy. Her name, Catherine, was on every front page of every financial magazine across the globe. The legend of the super-rich woman eclipsed even the fame of Boss Yen. At that moment, Miss Catherine was attending an elite cocktail party. When she received the encrypted call, her whole body trembled. She immediately dropped everything and picked up the phone. Boss, is that you? It's me. I'm so relieved. I saw the news about your plane crash and couldn't stop worrying. I'm just glad you're safe. That's it for today's chapter recap. If you enjoyed the breakdown, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated with the latest manga, manhwa, and manhwa recaps. Got thoughts on today's chapter? Drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear your take on the story. Also, if you know other fans who were reading this manhwa but stopped because it got axed, share this video with them. The more support we get, the more motivation we'll have to keep making these videos. See you in the next one. Until then, keep turning the pages.